to people who follow this stuff that Beterbiev and Bivol is going to wind up being, when real super fights, when the dust settles, you can't promote them into existence. That dude is still standing. That dude is still standing. Let's do it. But and Beterbiev just won a terrific fight against Anthony Yard. Are we ever going to get Bivol and Beterbiev?
I'm not optimistic for the first, let's say, 9 months. This is boxing, Max. You can't be optimistic about anything.
If you ask anyone, any boxing insider, hey, what about this fight I'm dying to see? You will get, I am not optimistic.
But this is very easy to kind of explain, right? First of all, the timing of it isn't very good, at least for the first 8 months of the year. Beterbiev is a Muslim. He's going to observe Ramadan, which is mid-March to mid-April. That would put the timing for his next fight at some point in the early summer at the earliest. And that's not a great timing for Bivol, who is still looking to finalize a Canelo-Alvarez rematch in September. And that fight is not only the biggest money fight for Dmitry Bivol, it's also potentially a legacy fight because he could fight for the undisputed super middleweight championship, which Canelo now possesses. Now, you fast forward to like the end of the year and say, can we make this fight happen then? That's when money gets involved. This is a great fight, 100% awesome fight. It's not a money fight. It's not the kind of fight where Las Vegas is going to come in and give you a $10 million plus site fee. Beterbiev is used to making low 7 figures in money, and he want the same thing. Bivol, for his last 2 fights, which were against Canelo and Zurdo Ramirez in Saudi Arabia, or in Abu Dhabi, I should say, he made $5 million around that for each. So he's going to expect that. The money just isn't there. The only way, Max, that fight happens in like December-ish or maybe January of 2024 is if a Middle Eastern country gets involved, like it did for Bivol Zurdo, put up a lot of money, or the war in Ukraine with Russia and Ukraine ends, and you could have some oligarch put up big money to do the fight in Russia. That's really the only way I see that fight happening because there isn't enough money in the pot in the U.S. to make it worth these guys' while.
Think of how well Bivol's career is being handled when he's getting $5 million a fight. When he gets a shot at Canelo Alvarez, if I were looking to get Canelo beat going into I would have chosen Bivol, right? And it's not going to be stylistically the greatest fight, and Bivol's not the biggest name. It was absolutely the maximum risk, minimum reward fight. And they're going to do it again, maybe? When Canelo could fight Beterbiev, which would be an incredible action fight, and Canelo's a natural counterpuncher, fast hands, not the fastest feet, doesn't love to hunt guys down. He could do it, but would much rather a guy come right to him so he can counter and use his skills. That's Beterbiev, right? Or even Benavides, and he's being perceived as ducking those guys and chasing instead a guy who he's going to have to chase around and probably lose on points again.
It's crazy, though. Like, people that say Canelo ducks anybody are out of their mind.
No, Canelo fights.
Canelo has fought the best forever. And anybody around 168 that is irritated that Canelo wouldn't fight you, well, that's because you didn't have a belt. If David Benavidez had not lost his belts a couple of times, he would have had a Canelo shot by now. Caleb Plant got that fight because he had the belt. You know Canelo, Max.
Yep.
He wants the challenge. It lingers with him.
That's why I said perceived.
That Dmitry Bivol, but that Dmitry Bivol beat him. So whether it's at 168 or 175, I think that's the fight Canelo's going to go for in the second half of this year.
Man, I don't need to see Bivol outbox Canelo again, right? Like, he's just it's styles make fights. He's a mobile guy. He's technically sound. He'll box. He'll do what he has to do.
But you know boxing history. Like, imagine Dmitry Bivol winning undisputed at 168 in one fight. In his next fight, winning undisputed at 175. That's how you punch your ticket to the Hall of Fame right there.
From Canelo's point of view, though, and from a boxing fan's point of view, he'll get more credit for fighting Beterbiev, the monster, or Benavides, who, again, that's why I said he's perceived as, I don't think Canelo ducks anyone. And those fights stylistically will be so crowd-pleasing. When you talk about boxing history, I think James Toney, Vasily Girov. Girov just wants you to stay there so he can get you. Toney just wants you to come to him so he can counter, right? Same kind of fight. Would love to see it. Bivol's people know